Welcome to From Washington for August the 6th, 2014. It's quiet in Washington despite the fact that we have the African Summit here, mostly because Congress has left and gone home, and left without doing anything major to fix the long-term problems we have in transit or in the Transportation Trust Fund. We have yet another short-term solution that takes into account none of the larger needs for increased investment in capital or infrastructure that we so urgently need. Next week, we'll be distributing our postcard for our members to use while Congress is on this latest break in August. The postcard will highlight, as we discussed it at Expo, the important reasons why Congress needs to do something to address our transportation needs. There's been some discussion here in Washington among some of the people who are working on the transportation issue to say that they feel that perhaps after the election in the lame duck session of Congress, there might be an opportunity to do something about raising revenue for the Transit Trust Fund. As you know, I've been very skeptical of this Congress doing anything to help us out, and I'm increasingly skeptical about that in the lame duck session since the situation on political polarization is so high. If you watched any of the discussion when Congress was here before their recent adjournment, you noticed that a great deal of the discussion centered around immigration, followed by a large discussion about whether or not they should either sue or impeach the president. This is not the climate that lends itself to the kinds of urgent thinking that is required today. I would hope that all of you and all of our members, as I said at Expo, would take some time during this election year to speak to those who are running for office about the role that transit plays in people's lives and the important role it plays in the communities that we all call home. That's one of the reasons why we're getting our postcard out next week as planned, so that some people might help us get that message across. These are very serious shortcomings in our congressional and legislative process this year, and as I said at Expo, it's hard to imagine a situation more difficult than this one for trying to do something constructive. As a matter of fact, every time I say that, I do tend to think that the situation gets worse. So it's really up to people at home to try to get their congressman or congresswoman's attention to say it's time for some serious discussion about serious issues. Speaking of serious issues and discussions, last week I had the very good fortune to attend this year's training conference at the Florida Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. I was pleased to be invited to come and speak at the two general sessions of the conference dealing with transportation in today's medical transportation environment and the future of medical transportation as it relates to what's happening in Florida. And as you know, the Florida program has been very much a coordinated effort for many years, but the legislature and the governor have decided to embark upon a massive program of managed care for Florida residents, putting all of the various components of Medicaid under the administration of HMOs and looking at all services for those people as services for the patients, and that all that patient service would be coordinated and managed by the healthcare management people and not by either transportation agencies or mental health components. Obviously, this change has created a great deal of difficulty for the operators and the people who use transportation. And all too often, I know, we've talked about how this has been disruptive to people who have long-standing relationships with their providers of transportation, the patients and the people who use the service. This is also true in Florida. As a matter of fact, the disruptions were so bad that the state later came back and granted a period where people, even though their HMO might be in a different location or using a different provider, would still allow the community transportation providers to continue to provide their service until it worked out. That working out is continuing. And I will say that I have been very impressed by some of the information we obtained when we were there from some of our operators who are doing tremendous jobs in this situation. One of the best things I heard was the commitment of our members and the people who provide transportation to focus on the patients and the people they served, to go the extra mile in all situations. As you know, in all of these situations, the price has become the most important object of service. It's especially important in a place like Florida that hasn't opted in to the affordable health care. Consequently, the matching rates for Medicaid are extremely high. Therefore, the state, through its HMOs, looks for lower cost services everywhere. I was pleased to sit in on several sessions where public transit agencies had adopted innovative strategies in dealing with this, primarily designed to lower their cost. We had one transit agency who made an excellent presentation about how they moved patients who were ambulatory back and forth to their destinations, and even though they were an urbanized area, had adopted a provision of service using smaller vehicles like the MV1s or even taxi-like vehicles to lower their price. We also heard from the Charlotte transit people, Charlotte, Florida that is, who had redesigned their entire service and moved from a demand-responsive mode to a mode of flex routes, increasing their capacity dramatically from 60 to over 200,000 trips a year and correspondingly lowering their cost for service. These were good examples when faced with very difficult circumstances how transit agencies can step up to the plate and provide different service. We also heard from one transit organization that has 4 different HMOs in its community, but negotiated a contract not just with good rates, but also with holding the line on what kind of providers can provide medical transportation in their community. These are best practices that we hope we can use in the future in other states and other locations. It's very apparent, though, that the community-based providers and public transit agencies there need a different kind of approach to transportation planning. And one of the issues that we spoke about was the effort to bring into the discussion different kinds of traditional business planning as an alternative way of structuring service and looking at cost factors. We hope to do more with Florida and the Commission on that, and I hope to continue to work with the Commission to continue their vital role as advocates for coordination, even though some of the money doesn't pass through them. There are other things that they can do through supporting one-call services and supporting high-quality services at the local level to find a different way around this HMO decision. In many respects, as you know, I feel that the HMO relationship is one that poses serious challenges to every transportation provider. So I was glad that the people of Florida and the Commission and the individual providers share their experiences with us, what worked, and some ideas they have that we might help with in the future. So there'll be more discussion about that too. Again, I don't know if we're going to get Congress to consider any of these, but we're going to continue to try to work with people through different kinds of training and knowledge-based solutions to find ways to bridge what's going to be a 3 or 4 year situation in Florida until things work out for the better. So that's all I have for you right now. I know you've received several notes about our next board meeting. We're looking forward to that, and we should have plenty to discuss. In the meantime, next week, be on the lookout for your postcard. I hope you're enjoying the summer, and I hope if you have an opportunity to visit Washington in August or early September, you'll let us know. Thanks for now, and I'll be in touch. Feel free to let me know what you're thinking or experiencing too. Bye for now.